We've been touching a lot on this issue of identity, right? And I thought it was interesting in all three books how the identity of these children, right? Well, at least in one book, we don't even know the identity of the child in Beasts of No Nation. The identity almost works against them, right? So in my parents' bedroom, where the title of the book came from, Say You're One of Them, right? Where Monique, the little girl, her mom tells her, when you're out there, if anyone asks you if you're Hutu or Tutsi, tell them you're one of them, right? And that's the only way to survive. So you can't even, say, yeah, I'm Tutsi or I'm Hutu.
I'm half and half.
And I'm half and half. In that case,
okay?
yeah, the kids are half and half.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, just say that you're one of them,
Yeah.
right? And in the other books too. So and for me, identity is not in these books, in these stories, wasn't just a matter of ethnic identity. It was also social, economic identity, right? And it sort of like works against them. But maybe not necessarily against them, but it's sort of like something that's present. In Fattening for Gabon, the identity of the kids is they're orphans, they're kids whose parents died of AIDS, right? So they have that AIDS orphan
Stigma.
identity, to them. In the shortest story, which what was it? Which language is that? Right? It's two best friends, which I thought was like the cutest.
It started
story.
off really nice.
Yeah, and it's like one is Muslim, one is Christian, and now they can't be friends anymore because over the night the two were clashing, right? And then in Luxurious Hearses, the poor 16-year-old kid is half Igbo, half Hausa, and he can't be saved by the Hausa people. They kicked him out. He gets on this bus, and he has to hide who he is. And once they find out, they kill him. It's like, what do you want this kid to do?
Who do you want this kid to be?
Or who do you want this kid to be?
It's gone.
Yes.
Like the surgeon, as soon as he's no longer the surgeon, everything disintegrates,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And when the kid that was like I was a Fulani in the north, as soon as the war was over, that identity now becomes problematic.
Yes.
So it got me thinking about that concept that when the system, changes around you, who you are, that thing that you think is that changes.
Yeah. So does that make identity kind of
It's not static,
a fragile, transient
Yeah,
thing?
and I think what infuriates me, in all honesty, is the fact that society is what ends up determining our identity.
Yeah.
And no matter how much we try to think through it, we are always being held on by that standard of what society regards us to be, and that is it. And then when society changes, because society is not a stagnant thing, it constantly changes. We are left off balance. We're trying to figure out, when our immediate environment changes, we are left to figure out who am I, what am I doing here, where am I going? And these are the questions that we ask, because the surrounding is what determines what we think is our identity.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
I think that, like, when you say identity works against us, it's kind of like what you just said. I think that it's a good thing to know your identity, but I also think that if you think of it as a static, then it's problematic.
Yeah.
And especially if the society you're in thinks of it as a very static thing,
Yes.
or the expectation is that it should be just one thing, I think it's very problematic for human development.
Yeah.
Like you said, and you've talked to as well, Tolu, there's a lot of positive that can come from adaptation when you think of adaptation as a constant change.
Yes.
Like humanity, even in the short frame we're here on this earth, like our adaptation is something we need to embrace, and when we're in environments that sort of are not receptive to that adaptivity and change, then you feel yourself experiencing and acting in a way that may not be healthy.
But
and
you
I
know-
think that's kind of the scary thing with life in general, and maybe
It's
particularly for kids.
it's a really good point you make, because you have parents, right? Our parents who immigrated here from wherever in Africa, and it's not just an African thing, right? When they were
It's an
adults,
immigrant
right?
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
When they were adults, and they formed their identity, and they come here and they refuse, right,
To be
to
Sure.
kind of integrate.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good thing to kind of retain your identity, but then you're living in this
totally
other
different
place
environment. Yeah.
for like 30 years,
Yeah.
and you're still like, I still don't accept who they are, but you're living there,
Yeah.
and then you're having children,
Yeah.
and there's this clash
Yeah.
between them and their
As
children,
you said, yeah.
because they don't know who their children are. The way these American children, these American children, it's like,
Because
So-
they're not
so-
that. They're not what the original origin.
yes, yeah,
There's
Wow.
something else.
there's something
And
else.
that even makes it sound
Yeah.
bad. Like, to place judgment on someone's identity, even if you are an American kid. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
can't
it's
be a
almost
good
like,
thing
it's like,
To
feel bad.
it's like, oh, they're less than America
You know?
spawns these children. You can't,
But we're here.
No,
you
no,
can't
no,
discipline
it's
them,
very-
as if you were in Ghana or Nigeria or Kenya or
But I
Botswana.
think the greatest form of identity is our countries, and that is the greatest part of our pride, because and I
True.
understand
True.
our parents come here and they are trying to hold on. They're trying to hold on to their pride. That is pride.
Yes.
Where you come from is your pride. It defines
That's
a lot
profound,
of
yeah.
things about who you are, and it has built you up to be who you are.
Yeah.
Like, you are not in the air. There's a grounding, and the grounding is the country that you're from, or the culture that you're from.
But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. So they come here, right? And in some cases, they left their home country 20 years ago. And they take how things were in their home country and they're living here. Maybe they'll go back, they'll visit for 2 weeks, they'll come back, right?
Right.
So while things are changing there, right? They haven't changed.
Heading this static.
Right, so they're like in this
mind
static
frame.
bubble of, yes, this is the way things are and will always be,
Even when they're not.
even when things have changed.
Things evolve. I think
It's ridiculous.
and that's the constant in life, is
Yeah.
evolving, right?
Yeah.
But the question that
But why do we think our parents do that so much? Like all of them. Like,
Not my
this is-
parents.
For the
I'll be
parents who
perfectly
play-
honest, it's true.
Yeah.
The majority of them do.
The
The
Majority
majority
do.
of them do.
Majority do.
I don't know, it's a good question.
I think it's a safe and
Maybe it
easy
goes back
thing.
to what you were saying.
Yeah,
It's just,
it's the pride
I
thing.
completely get it. I get it. I mean, I'm not
what do you
saying
think
that
it is?
That is the pride.
it's
It's
you
the
know
pride
what, there
thing.
is just something about coming from somewhere, and maybe you see, the thing is, you're moving to a new. I'm talking about, I only moved here last year, right,
Mm-hmm.
to America. You're moving to a new country that you don't know anything about. You see it on TV, yes, and you have your own ideas about what it's supposed to be and what it should be, and how people are doing it right or how people are doing it wrong. And then you come and you find yourself, you're here, right? What is the one thing that you're going to try to hold on to? Where you're from. That is
Very
it.
good
You're
point.
going to try to hold on
familiar
to
point,
where
yeah.
you're from.
Yeah.
Because it's not here, it's not in your immediate environment. It's back there. But you were taught there, you experienced life there. Majority of your life was there.
But
That's
here's,
what
but
you
here's
have.
the thing. Yes, so
the father,
that's
that's
who
what,
you
that's
are,
what he
yeah.
holds on
yeah,
to.
but
You're
here's
right.
the thing though,
It's very
right?
true.
I mean, is
That's
it
the thing,
the
too.
fear of losing who you are that makes them freeze, right? That they actually don't then get to enjoy
now
the
we
society,
Present, yeah.
the present.
Yes.
You know,
Because you're trying, because stepping out is like, what am I stepping into?
Yeah, but
It's
so
dangerous. It's
yeah, so
risky.
But I think it's an interesting perspective because you came here as an adult, so you can talk about probably the way our parents feel because they came here as
Hopefully not,
adults.
but-
yeah, so when you start having
No,
children,
let me say,
when
I
you start
came at
having children
13.
here,
I came at 13, so my perspective is Nigerian American, but you came here as an adult, so you kind of understand that perspective of, because you've developed there, it's a strong part of your identity having grown up there.
Yeah.
So you probably can relate to the sense of their staunchness, like this is the way it has to be.
And you know what, look, I'm not saying that there's always a middle ground for everything, right? Some parents are probably extreme and they're holding on way too much,
Right.
and they don't realize that change does happen.
Yeah.
But let me say that from my experience, change takes a very long time.